Hi everyone, welcome to this video. I'm going to be talking about some side hustles that you can do as a therapist to get some extra money. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So, when we think about side hustles, we got to kind of know what the options are. So, some of those available options are doing part-time remote. When you're not necessarily doing 40 hours a week, that's typically 20 hours a week or less when you're doing a part-time position. There's also contract positions where you may be working, let's say, a full-time role or full-time hours for a specific period of time. There's also roles where you can kind of work when you want, as far as just having a certain number of tasks to complete within a week. And that can be a great fit for people who really need some flexibility in their schedules and don't want the stress of having to clock in at a certain time on a certain day. There's also the option of working in person when it comes to side hustles or ways of gaining additional income. So, one of the available options is that of care navigation or care coordination. So, these are roles that can be both remote or in person. I've seen the education requirements for these roles really vary from having a high school diploma all the way up to having a master's degree and having a license at the same time. So, care navigation can be a really great fit if you kind of want to work healthcare adjacent and where you don't necessarily want to do therapy, but you want to be on the care coordination side of things, where you're helping connect people to resources, where you're doing more kind of short term assessments, when you're kind of working more around a person and maybe around a certain diagnosis that they have and really connecting the resources. Care navigation or care coordination can be a great fit for that. And like I said before, a lot of times those are both either remote or in person. I've seen a lot of hospitals start to hire on care coordinator or care navigation roles, and also a lot of startup companies are hiring for care navigation roles as well. So that's something to keep an eye out for too. Also, I'm writing mental health content. So if you're a writer or you have an English background or you just like to write in general, this can be something that's a good fit for you. Some of the available options are blog post, curriculum development, or even being a test question writer. And what that means is that when there's these national exams that us as therapists take, there are people that write some of the questions for these exams. So you actually can apply to be a test question writer for either of those practice exams or the nationally known exams when it comes to that. So that can be a source of income and also can be a source of meeting other people and networking as well. Curriculum development typically happens when you're working with a school, typically at university, and you have a contract to write a course or write curriculum for a specific course that they're developing. So that can be an option if you don't necessarily want to write articles, but you want to get into education or want to get into higher education in some type of meaningful way that's outside of traditional teaching. Curriculum development and writing curriculum can be a great way to get your foot in the door for that. Another option is that of evaluations. And so I have the asterisk there because this really kind of depends on licensure and also depends on your state. For the most part, these are things that do require independent licensure, but these can sometimes be a side hustle if you do have independent licensure. So some of the available options are bariatric evaluation, doing like a home adoption home study, immigration evaluations, gender affirming assessments or gender affirming letters, also emotional support letters or evaluations for emotional support animals and a subsequent letter. That can be some of the options that are available. I do kind of want to encourage you to do your research when you're looking at companies that provide these services. You're contracting with companies that provide these services. Make sure that you do your due diligence, making sure that everything is above board and they're really providing the services that they say that they're providing. This is also something that a lot of times you can get specific training for. As a clinician, a lot of other therapists offer specific trainings on all these areas when it comes to what you need to know and what you need to watch out for when it comes to providing the service as part of your practice or even independently. Another option is text-based therapy. And so I'm not using any company names because I know the companies really do vary, but there are a lot of companies that offer text-based therapy services. So as a therapist, if you don't necessarily want to be on screen, but you still want to provide clinical content and still provide clinical feedback, text-based therapy services can be a great fit or a side hustle for you, just because it doesn't require you to be on screen, but you're still using your skill sets in a meaningful way. And it's also something that may not pull on you in the same way as having a face to face or even a telehealth conversation. So it's definitely something to consider and to look out for. A lot of times those jobs are few and far in between, but it's great to kind of set up an alert, and so that when those are posted, you get a chance to be hopefully one of the first people that apply for that. Another option is that of creating courses. As I was saying before, option of that is really contracting with a school when it comes to courses or any other type of deliverable that they're looking for you to provide for them. Also, creating and selling CEU courses or setting those up, that can be another source of income, and it's one that I don't think we talk about a whole lot, but it's one of the available sources. And there's an application process, and there is a lot of times work on kind of the back end when it comes to setting it all up. But if you have a few courses running and you have a great platform that you can use to host some of these, it can be a really lucrative endeavor overall. So it's definitely an option, especially if you like writing and you like really providing information and teaching and being in that space. It can be a good option for you. Another option is that of teaching courses as an adjunct instructor. And so a lot of times there's options, from graduate or undergraduate level, remote or in person. A lot of times, this field, I think in general, tends to be fairly saturated, and a lot of people are looking to teach. So your best option is to really look at what's local in your area to see if they need any adjunct instructors at universities or community colleges that are close to where you live. You can also reach out to your alma mater if you live in the same state or in the same city, or even if you live far away, to see if they are offering any online positions or any on-ground positions, depending on where you're at. A lot of people have found success in reaching out or emailing the chair of the department that you want to teach in, just kind of reaching out, introducing yourself, sending a copy of your resume, and letting them know that you'd love to be considered if there's any adjunct positions available in the future. So this can be a great source of income, especially if you want something that's really flexible and you want something that is pretty reliable at the same time overall. So it can be a great fit for people that just want to break from the clinical world, but they still want to use their clinical skills in a meaningful way. Some of the other options available would be that of, I have that of a travel agent, working on a mental health hotline, working as an online moderator for content, and also working in a peer support area. Some people they work as a recovery coach, where it comes to providing peer support, but also providing a lot of one-on-one support in a way that isn't necessarily clinical, but does provide some of that peer support in that way. So hopefully I've given you some additional options to think about and consider. Thanks so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what I should talk about next. Have a great one.